Support comes from Seattle Restored, revitalizing Seattle neighborhoods with creativity and commerce. Over 95 vacant storefronts have been transformed into vibrant pop-up shops, window art installations, and artist residences. Explore current and past locations at seattlerestored.org.
Support comes from Pacific Northwest Ballet, presenting the Northwest holiday tradition, the Nutcracker, live and on stage at McCaw Hall through December 28th. The Nutcracker is a journey through a holiday party, epic battle, and falling snow in the land of sweets. Tickets and info at pnb.org.
Hey there, welcome to Meet Me Here, your weekly guide to arts and culture events worth leaving your house for. I am Dyer Oxley. I cover pop culture for KUOW, but this week we have to talk about something a little bit different. There's no getting around it. It is here, the Big Dark. So every year, Northwesterners, we have this battle with shorter and shorter days, longer and longer nights. It's cold, it's wet, it's dark. It's kind of a bummer, but it does not have to be. Not really, when you think about it. And that's what we are here to point out. I have brought in my Meet Me Here co-host, Jeannie Yandel and Katie Campbell, to discuss some ideas around defeating the Big Dark by covering some great things to do this time of year. Perhaps some things that you are not aware of in the Seattle region. So with that in mind, I'm going to forego my usual event spotlight that we do at the start of each podcast, because really that is what this whole episode is about. So let's just jump right into it. Hello, Jeannie, and hello, Katie.
Hi, Dyer.
Hey.
Are you guys afflicted by the Big Dark?
I think we're all afflicted by the Big Dark, but I don't start feeling really bad about things until like January. What about you, Katie?
I don't mind the Big Dark. It's just like another opportunity to get cozy. I got a big fluffy cat at home, got lots of blankets. So as the book czar, as I think you like to call me, Dyer, I don't mind it. It's just more opportunities to read in cozy spaces.
Katie, I like that you use the word cozy, because not like 30 minutes ago is exactly the word I was using with somebody else to describe the Big Dark. As our listeners have probably noticed by now, Jeannie is cozy in the Midwest. She is traveling, but has literally phoned it in for us here.
Mm-hmm.
Zoomed it in? I don't know how you're supposed to say in modern... In the modern parlance of our times. Let's jump right into the events here. Jeannie, I'm going to point to you first with our strategies, our events, our ideas for surviving the short, dark days in the Pacific Northwest. What do you got for us?
I actually have a couple of ideas. First and foremost, I will say, since I'm traveling in the Midwest, people here are complaining about winter coming, and they get a lot of sunshine, and I feel virtuous about myself and all of us in the Northwest who spend months just living in gradations of gray and wet. So I know snow is hard. I know ice is hard. But so is no light for like 5 months. So there's that.
Are you being like Northwest snooty? Like, oh, you don't even know.
A
you
little
don't even
bit.
know how good you can.
A little bit. It's fun. I'm just silently judging. It's nice. But here's my event for folks in the Seattle region. There is a first-time exhibition at the Seattle Asian Art Museum by a Pakistani-American artist. Her name is Anila Qayyum Aga, and she has this solo exhibition called The Geometry of Light. And what she's doing is she's creating these 3D sculptures out of steel and out of wood that are intricately carved plants, animals, patterns, and she's illuminating the inside of the structures. So what you're getting when you go see this exhibition is you're really getting to focus on the interplay of light and shadow and how that affects you. I feel like this is the perfect thing to go see during the Big Dark, because the entire time you're in this exhibition, you are thinking about light and you are looking at light. There's so much more on offer here than just what the sky looks like or where the sun has gone. This is about how we create space using light and dark.
It's funny, the folks over at the Jaipur Literature Festival Seattle edition told me about this, and I looked it up after I talked to Dr. Alka Kurian, who helped bring that festival to Seattle, and it's really beautiful. I would double down on Jeannie's recommendation. Even just the snippets that you get online when you look it up are just, they're beautiful. They're this interesting study of light, and I could really see this boosting people's spirits in the big dark.
Oh, 100%.
What's interesting about it is I'm not as attracted to the objects themselves as I am to the shadows.
Yeah.
It's not actually like looking at the actual object that is kind of like the focus point of all the hard work went into. It's the shadows that this is displaying across the entire space. I hesitate to say this. Very Instagrammable. Everybody complains. I always complain. I know everybody knows I complain about Instagram ethics and in being in spaces. However, I'm just saying this very, very Instagrammable. You would look really, really cool in this space.
Dyer, you make a really good point that when you go to this exhibition, you are not just staring at a singular object. You're you're looking at how that object shapes the room and changes the room, the space that it's in. So perhaps if you are going to do it for the gram, you can stand in more than one place. You're not blocking a painting or a sculpture. You can stand really anywhere in a space and you can capture something, which I think is really special about this.
Yeah, and look like you're in a 1990s music video. I don't know, for some reason that's where it was in my mind. Just makes me think of those.
Well, can I just say one more thing actually about this?
Sure.
The artist, she's heavily influenced by her upbringing in Pakistan, where there are sacred spaces everywhere, but because she was a girl, a lot of them were off limits to her. A lot of her artwork is the idea of building sacred spaces that anyone can visit, building sacred spaces that describe different kinds of sacredness outside of a specific religion or faith tradition. I mean, she said at one point that she's maybe been in a mosque twice in her life, and that was probably as a tourist. So I really, really, really recommend going to see the Geometry of Light at Seattle Asian Art Museum. It'll be there until April, but because there's so much light involved, it's the perfect thing to do when it gets really dark here.
Katie?
Yeah, so I can't think of a better way to get through the big dark than with a little bit of humor, some laughs in your life. And so y'all have got to go check out David Sedaris at Benaroya Hall. He comes here every year and workshops new material, kind of gets a vibe for how people respond to some things that he's pontificating on. Folks, I mean, you're listening to a public radio podcast right now, so I assume you know David Sedaris, but just to recap, he's known for things like the Santaland Diaries. NPR tends to play a snippet of this hilarious essay about having to dress as elves at Christmas, mall elves at Christmas. He's also known for Me Talk Pretty One Day, which is a book in 2 parts, perhaps 2 parts. Like David Sedaris, I don't speak French, except I didn't ever live in France without being able to speak French. It's a hilarious book where he talks about doing exactly that. Like, he grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Later in life, he moves to Normandy with his partner, and it's just, he's hilarious. So what I'm getting at is he has a really great way of making you think a little bit about your place in the world, pressing issues of the day, and then warping them with his particular brand of ridiculous humor.
Nobody has ever captured my deep, deep frustrations.
Like David Sedaris.
Specifically with coffee culture.
Oh!
Yeah, I know that's just like, I know that's isolating in on like one particular aspect, but I gotta say, to give him credit, nobody has captured the ridiculousness of, if you don't brew coffee, you're not a coffee place. I'm sorry. You make drinks with coffee in it, all right? If you just offer me an Americano in replace of a genuine coffee, I'm glad you good for your business. But you don't make coffee.
Wow.
You make drinks with coffee in them. I'm sorry.
You don't think espresso is coffee?
Espresso was coffee. It's a type, but look, coffee at its basics. When we go back into history and people are like, "Oh, I can roast this and do that," it was beans, water. That's the base. All right. And if you think any differently, fine.
If people are listening and if you're enjoying Dyer's tirade, I think you would enjoy David Sedaris.
Exactly. This is the exact type thing that he does.
It's truly the exact kind of he brands himself as a humorist and an author, and that's just an NPR way of saying he's a comedian. Maybe a little more highbrow than Jerry Seinfeld, let's say. Instead of being like, "What's with coffee today?" he'd be like, "What's with coffee shops not brewing the specific bean that I really like from Ethiopia today?" So he's a little more highbrow. I think that's perfect for Seattle. So sorry, Seattle, but it's true.
Oh my gosh, if everybody at home can see the face Jeannie was making at me, I guess when she gets back to Seattle, I know I'm gonna hear more about this anyway.
So he's gonna be at Benaroya Hall on November 16th. That's gonna be at 7:00, and I would definitely urge people, if you do want to go see David and you don't have tickets, get them now, because I'm looking at the website right now and it says limited seats available in bright red lettering. So there's still time, but you got to act fast.
Katie, you also have another event. I don't want to miss this one, but I believe the way you put it, if you could toot your horn a little bit, so.
Yes, I would like to toot my own horn ever so slightly, because I do run the KUOW book club, and I'm on this show talking about the literary scene in Seattle. So that means I get to do a really cool thing and occasionally interview visiting authors at local independent bookstores. My next one is on December 7th. I'm really excited for this because I will be interviewing Yume Kitasai at Elliott Bay. So she's on tour with her new book called Salt Crop, which is set in the not-too-distant future when seas consume coastal cities. Talk about not too distant. I'm from Florida. Highways disintegrate underwater. There's mutant fish lurking in pirate-controlled depths. And that sounds like a wild, pirate tale. But ultimately, it's about sisterhood and familial obligation and love, and it's all wrapped up in a great book about ecological disaster, which is one of my favorite modern genres, is just our musings on climate change and fallout and taking it to the umpteenth degree. And I'll say Yume is probably best known for her book, The Stardust Grail. It was a really big hit when it first came out. I have no doubt that Salt Crop is also going to be a big hit. I just got a copy delivered to my desk today.
I was about to say, 15 minutes before we walked, didn't I see you tear open a package?
Yes!
And I'm not lying, she, like a single tear dropped down off her face. There was a moment she was having.
Yes, I did a little dance. I was very excited because I am excited for this book. I think it's going to be a really fascinating take on the kind of ecological disaster themes that we're seeing in literature right now. Yume's a fascinating author. She's got her own style anyway, and so I think she's going to knock this one out of the park. So again, that's at Elliott Bay on December 7th. Come see Yume and me.
Oh my gosh. Katie, you're so good at describing books. I love your descriptions of books. The way you describe this book is that it's a climate crisis, but the real prize is the friends we made along the way. I just love that so much.
Okay, I'm going to take a cue from the last time we were talking on a Look Forward podcast episode. Take a cue from Katie in that I'm going to cheat.
Yes.
And I'm going to be pointing out, I'm not going to talk about all of them, but it's kind of like events, plural. I like a good night market.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you've experienced those German Christmas markets. Maybe you went to Thailand and you long for those night markets in Bangkok. We actually have a few night markets in this area this time of year. Yes, we have farmers markets all year round and things but a good night market just really hits differently during the big dark. I'm going to use the word cozy again. It is a cozy experience. It is much better than hibernating alone at home. I'm going to point a couple out to you. Yet we have the Seattle night markets, 21 and over. Tacoma has its own night market, but also in Tacoma, there is the Black Night Market. It's the holiday edition on November 1st and December 6th at the Tacoma Armory. This is like a collection of Tacoma's Black-owned businesses in one place. So that's like a lot of fashion, skincare. You're going to have music, and you're going to have food. And in addition to this one, if you're also interested in the holiday aspect to this, the Geekcraft Expo Holiday Market is coming back to Seattle November 29th through 30th. But if you want that night market feel, on November 28th, there is a pre-market on that night. It's limited to 500 people, but you can kind of get in early, kind of get that Geekcraft addition to it. And I got to say, the reason I'm pointing these out, it's not just about that holiday market feel. It's like a happening. It's like a social event. This isn't the mall, all right? This isn't clicking on Amazon. I'm not shaming anybody. You know, do what you like. But especially like this time of year when a lot of businesses are trying to like make ends meet and all that. This is your neighbor. This is the shop down the street. This is the stuff you cannot find anywhere else, and it is really clever. It's really quirky. It's just kind of captures a personality that you just really can't get. No offense, just walking through kind of a big box.
I'm snapping over here, Dyer, because I love these kinds of markets, mostly for that reason. Like, these things are going to be unique. You're supporting a local creative. It's like there's more community in it. And I don't know, I love just the atmosphere of a good market, period, especially a holiday market, and especially a holiday market at night. There's just the cozy vibes are abundant.
Right.
I will also say, Dyer, that I remember you telling me about the Geekcraft Expo holiday market. You were telling me about how I could get themed soaps. I believe we were talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer soaps, which I have not stopped thinking about since you brought it up. I think
it was probably Fracking Bombs is a local crafter who makes bath bombs, shower bombs, things like that. She's made ones about the Cure in the past. I know there's been some Buffy. There's definitely some Doctor Who. That geek theme, going on there. And it's bath bombs, of all things. But where else are you going to find a bath bomb shaped like the TARDIS, right?
Certainly not at Lush.
Before I start going into a TARDIS of geek crafts that we can dive deeper into, we have to take a really quick break. And we are going to be back right on the other side of this with something special happening in Washington State. Jeannie's going to tell us about it. It's something that is happening for the first time in 40 years, I believe. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Support comes from Seattle Restored, revitalizing Seattle neighborhoods with creativity and commerce. Over 95 vacant storefronts have been transformed into vibrant pop-up shops, window art installations, and artist residences. Explore current and past locations at seattlerestored.org.
Support comes from Pacific Northwest Ballet, presenting the Northwest holiday tradition, the Nutcracker, live and on stage at McCaw Hall through December 28th. The Nutcracker is a journey through a holiday party, epic battle, and falling snow in the land of sweets. Tickets and info at pnb.org.
And we are back. I'm not wasting any time. Jeannie, you've got one more recommendation for us.
I do, and I think I'm going to cheat a little bit as well. So, listeners, one sort of ongoing event that you can partake in is listening to Meet Me Here. And in every episode that Dyer hosts, he reveals something he doesn't like. You could make a little list of all the things Dyer doesn't like while you listen during the Big Dark. So that's just one idea. But if you want something to put on the calendar, I really, really recommend putting Netzamat on your calendar. Now, that means one heart, one mind gathering in Coast Salish languages. And it's happening November 18th at the Paramount Theater at 7 p.m. So this event is part of a pretty historic meeting here in Western Washington of the National Congress of American Indians. They're meeting here for the first time in more than 40 years, and the National Congress of American Indians is the oldest and largest representation of indigenous nations in the U.S. They're coming here to talk about a lot of different things, including what the tribe's relationships with the federal government looks like during this time of, shall we say, fickle winds of federal funding. There's a lot of unpredictability right now. But this night, Netzamat, is kind of the night where everybody gets to blow off steam and have fun, right? It's kind of like a variety show. There are going to be indigenous jazz musicians, indigenous comedians, indigenous powwow singers, all kinds of different artists and performers doing their stuff at the Netzamat. And the whole night starts with a grand entrance from a Coast Salish canoe family. They're called the West Shore Canoe Family, and it's a family led by a Snoqualmie tribal member here in town called Anton George. And the grand entrance will have his canoe family, singers, drummers from all over Coast Salish territories. So it should be a really exciting night and not something that you could really ever see again. This is kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity to see something like this. So I really recommend checking it out.
Oh my gosh, Jeannie, even as you just started talking about this, I quickly looked up the lineup because I did want to check it out. And I want to throw out there, too, that there's a really great author, an Indigenous author on this lineup, and that's Julian Brave Noisecat. Now, Noisecat, I think, is better known for his filmmaking. He's also a champion powwow dancer and a student of Salish art and history. But the reason he's on my mind right now is I just picked up a copy of his new book, which is called We Survived the Night. And it's kind of an interesting blend of like oral history. There's like deep investigative journalism and his own deeply personal father-son story. So his father's indigenous, his mom is non-native. He grew up in Oakland, California, and it's going to be an incredible book. I'm really excited to read it. I think it's a deeply personal story for him to share, but he's going to be at this gathering, and I imagine he'll be talking a lot more about his filmmaking, but I just wanted to put on everybody's radar, We Survived the Night, Julian Brave Noisecat. It's going to be great.
Oh, I love that. And I should also mention that if you cannot make it to the Paramount on November 18th, there is a live streaming option. So you have a couple of opportunities to be able to see this, but I really do recommend, like, if you can get to the Paramount for this, you're going to want to be in the room.
You described it as a variety show. I think that's a really good way to put it. That's a really good spot to see a variety show.
Yeah.
One of my favorite spots in all of Seattle.
Agree.
I am going to give my final recommendation.
Drum roll, please.
It's a way to celebrate the inevitable return of the sun. We are talking about the big dark, but during the big dark, we have the winter solstice, and folks forget that at the winter solstice, that is when the sunlight starts to come back slowly, day after day, and we have a lot of holidays during this time, but we also have a lot of solstice events, and it is a perfect time to kind of celebrate that, yes, it is the big dark, but we can celebrate that the big dark is fading. There is a Druid event at Gasworks Park. I believe there is a solstice with Sasquatch at the Flight Museum for families. You can find plenty of them all over the area, but I'm going to highlight one that is my favorite in this area, and it's actually not exactly on the solstice, but it is, it's the theme, it's the idea. Yule Fest in Paulsbo is based around the Norwegian solstice traditions. There's going to be street food, there's going to be Vikings, there's going to be little kids with their heads on fire, and there is the largest bonfire that you are ever going to see in this region. You're going to have to stand 30 feet back. This thing is huge. It is super, super fun. They're lighting the fire so that they can reignite the sun and ward off the ice giants, all Old Norse stuff. Super, super fun event. So if you can make it out to Paulsbo, spend the day and the evening to get that bonfire experience, I highly, highly recommend it. And celebrate the end of the big dark.
Can you explain what it means that kids are going to have their heads on fire? I mean, come for the big bonfire. Stay for the kids with their heads on fire. Like, what does that mean?
So I have a friend with a Norwegian background, and she was one of these. There's something called a Lucia bride. It is a Scandinavian tradition, and essentially they make this crown of candles that they put it on a little girl's head, and she leads the procession through the town, leads the procession, up to the culminating events of the winter solstice. Back in the day, I'm sure they use electric candles now. I'm sure someone will get in trouble. Back in the day, like with my friend, however, when she was a child, they actually used candles with the wax dripping and all that kind of stuff. So it was a little kid with their head on fire,
wow.
Okay, walking through and what more fun could that be?
Wow.
You know? So yeah, it's quite an experience. They fold that tradition into kind of Paulsbo's unique presentation of Yule Fest. So yeah, you can come and check that out.
I wish one of us knew how to say "if you know, you know" in Norwegian, because that feels like a perfect thing to say here.
If you know, you know.
I only know how to speak Swedish chef. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for us on this episode of Meet Me Here. Now that Jeannie Yandel has made me the resident grump of Meet Me Here, I'm going to end the show talking about
you're
something
the
that I
best.
love.
I'm sorry,
I'm
Dyer.
gonna talk about something that I love, and what I love is my co-host,
Aww.
Katie Campbell and Jeannie Yandel, who put up with my grumpiness apparently every episode. Thank you both for being on this episode. I very, very much appreciate it. I also have deep admiration for our producer, Matt Martin, who produces this show, and our other producers, Brandy Fullwood and Kyle Norris, who produce Meet Me Here. That said, if any of you ever bring me a latte, if you like Meet Me Here, please rate and review us. It really does help get the word out about the show. Podcasts like Meet Me Here, we really are only possible because of your financial support. You can help us make all these local shows that you rely on over at kuow.org/meet. And once again, thank you for listening.
Hey, I'm Ton Vin, host of Seattle Eats, a food podcast from the Seattle Times and KUOW. Seattle fine dining spots are nixing their prefix menus and going casual. But change is a good thing for restaurants and customers. On the latest episode, I'll tell you about the high-end menus that are worth hitting. Listen to Seattle Eats on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.